as I grow and I get more recognition for the things I'm doing, I'm kind of watching it become this like one, like you're a creator, like you're creating, and you're creating with specific intention for visibility, equity in like POC culture.
So I'm here with Livia Rose Johnson. Welcome to How She Did It.
Thank you. I'm super
so excited to have you here today. You look amazing. I'm obsessed with your hair.
Thank you.
I try. You look so good.
She's due for a redo. But
oh
it's
no,
okay.
she looks amazing. We just recently rebranded the entire show, so I just feel like you are the perfect guest to introduce this new era that we're entering, you know?
Thank you.
Because you do so much. I mean, you are an editor for Office Magazine. I have to look at my notes because you do so much. You're a contributor at Instagram. You're the founder of Multimedia. You are a casting director.
Yeah.
You're an event producer, an event coordinator. You just told me you're a model.
Yeah.
You're entering the music business. I mean, it's crazy. You're so multifaceted, and you are definitely doing it.
Yeah.
So,
something.
yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into all of this?
Yeah. So I'm born, raised, and based in Brooklyn, New York. I got into the industry when I was around 13. I started working in Soho at, retail store that will not be named. But I started working at Soho and then kind of started getting a peek into the fashion world and specifically the culture world. So I would sneak backstage at shows from like 14 to 17, 18. And then 18 is when I kind of was like, I feel like I can kind of start making my own moves in this. And so I originally founded Multimedia when I was 19 as a collective, then went to school, dropped out of school, started a nonprofit for BLM, then restarted it in 2021 because I was like, there needs to be more voices for people of color because I feel like they're kind of being exploited in the industry and that like 2020 to 2022 faux diversity thing. So that's kind of
the performative
thing. Yeah, that was ish.
It was.
I guess otherwise, I'm Irish and Nigerian. Came from a family of activists on both sides.
Wow. I can tell that you wear many different hats career-wise, right? And I can tell that you're the type of person who's passionate about multiple things, and I relate to that very heavily. I know what it's like to want to do everything, right? And you know how they say, the sky's the limit and you can do everything, but it's like as humans, I think we do need to acknowledge sometimes that we do have limits, you know, and part of self-care is knowing your limits and knowing when to sit back and rest. So how do you prioritize self-care when you have such a busy life?
How do I prioritize it or how should I? Because I don't know, currently I'm also in school, which I hadn't disclosed, but I just recently went back to school. And I feel like knowing my limits is something, and not beating myself up for my limits, and understanding that my timing's perfect. Like I believe in divinity, so I have perfect timing. And I feel like there's times where I'm like, dang, I want to go to that event, or I need to network with these people, or I should have sent this email by this time. But then you have to like cut yourself some slack, not beat yourself up, and understand, but you also need to like rest and watch a show. You also need to reflect. You need to read. You need to kind of have that still time so you could see yourself grow. And I think that I don't really make too much space for that, but when I do make space for that, I don't beat myself up about it. Like I'm absolute like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm resting. Because there's something, like I believe in active rest. There's this, I don't really know, my friend told me about her account, it's like Nat Ministry. But she was talking about how like, you can't really rest when you're thinking about the work you have to do. That's not productive rest. So just being absolute when I do choose to take my time and my space for rest. Has been, but that's like not that. Like no, I feel like there's a lot of other steps, but like
for sure. No, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and when you're in your hustle period, like I don't plan on hustling and being known for hustling this hard forever. But when you're in your hustle period, you have to understand that like you won't always have time, but hopefully you'll get to the point where you'll have ample time for rest.
Right.
So kind of that's my mentality right now.
For sure. I love that phrase that you used, productive rest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes as creatives, we feel like resting is not productive, but it really is, because it helps you show up as your best self when you do start working again.
And being burnt out, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm just coming out of, I feel like almost a year of burnout.
Ooh.
I mean, I still do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
But
No.
just like pushing yourself so hard and like not feeling valued in the stuff that you're doing, like it's so much harder to come out of a burnout than to just rest. Like, yeah, you'll have stuff in your head, oh my God, I need to do this. Trust me, dragging yourself out of a burnout is one of the hardest things. Like,
Especially
some
when
people
it's
can't get to the level.
Yeah, especially
they
when
were
it's
before.
a year-long burnout, because for someone who's been in this industry since they were 13, like people don't know that burnout can last a long time.
Burnout can last a long time. And it's like, you know, I'm not gonna say it was a full year of burnout, but it was like periods where I was just like, I can't do this. This isn't fulfilling me. And like, you know, I'm kind of, I don't want to say selfish, but I'm focused on fulfillment. I'm focused on my own passion. And so if I'm not getting that passion from what I'm doing, like I can't do it.
Yeah.
So just resting, preventing burnout is better than dragging yourself out of burnout,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
For sure.
Okay, how do you feel about the phrase, a jack of all trades is a master of none? Because you're the type of person who does so many different things, but you know, there is this idea that like you should specialize in one particular skill.
There's like, okay, so I am in a very dialectic place right now. I know that there's like one of the phrases where it's what is it? It's like a jack of all trades is a master of none, and there's like an extra line.
Than the master of all. There is a phrase that
like
kind of
master of one, but better than like a master of one.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Or something like that. So I'm in this dialectic space because it's like I love everything I do, and I'm more than capable of doing everything and being successful in everything. So it's just about really selection right now. But I feel like what I've kind of decided what I wanted to do would just be to be like a really highly respected creative mind. And then that's it. So it's like if I want to create a event, if I want to create a PSA, if I want to, you know, create a campaign or do like a collaboration with a brand, like whatever I'm doing that I'm bringing my mind to, I just want to be highly respected and highly compensated for that. And I think that's kind of how I've been seeing it, because we're also in a different age at the end of the day. Like,
you don't have to choose
specialization was like something people needed to do to make money because people wouldn't take them seriously otherwise. Now we're watching people in the limelight who have multiple trades that they're taken seriously for. Like, that's kind of the only worry for me as someone who does so much is like, will I be taken seriously?
Yes.
But I do think that there's a timing thing. I do think that like focus on one in the beginning strategically and see how those doors you can start weaving in other things you want to do. So I feel like doing culture consulting and doing events, I'm able to see new trends emerge, different creative intersections in the events that I do, and then I can go package that and then work with brands to be like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's like learning how they can like become symbiotic and feed into each other has been the only real way I've been able to kind of get the bag from like all these different things and not feel like, oh, I'm like pulling myself one way, not pulling myself another way. Yeah. And I think that just straight creating and just like being like, I'm a creator, like I want to create, like that's it. Has allowed me to kind of consolidate all these different things that I'm like, okay, you do this, 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 and that. But at the end of the day, you're still just creating and you still are just interacting with people. Yeah. And I'm a big person on like sensuality, like art in the senses. I'm like, before I dropped out of school originally, I studied neuromarketing. So I studied like art, the senses, art in space, senses in space. How do you make people feel things when they enter a space, when they perceive something, when they look at something? And I think that keeping that lens in my creation is really like the definition of what I do, but it just is so intersectional and there's so many different facets and like art, music, fine art, culture, like especially like POC intersections and what we bring to the table and having equity in that. That I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent, but
no, it's great.
I'm happy that I'm a jack of all trades right now because I'm able to see it from all different perspectives. But as I grow and I get, you know, more recognition for the things I'm doing, I'm kind of watching it become this like one, like you're a creator, like you're creating, and you're creating with specific intention for visibility, equity in like POC culture, like. And so I feel like that, it's like there's so many different things that you could do, but like that's kind of like the overarching.
Yeah, I love that. Allowing yourself that creative freedom and to be able to branch into whatever field you want with that core as a creator. I think that's really important.
That's like what you have to do, because otherwise you start comparing yourself. You're like, I'm not, like I just started my music journey. Like I know people who've been doing that since I was like in fashion at 13, they were doing music. And part of me is like, damn, like you could have been doing this earlier, like you could have but it's also like, this is the process. And I want a rich process in my process. I want it to be as rich as possible. And so that's why I continue to take on all these intersectional roles that people would be like, oh, you're not sticking to one. But it's like, this is I want my success story to be rich. Like, I know I'm going to be successful. There's like no question about it. But it's like, how, and like, how is that process for you? You know, and what did you learn? That's kind of like my priority.
Yeah, definitely. So you're a Nigerian girl,
I
right?
am.
I love that.
And Trini, Nigerian and Trini.
Yeah, and Irish. Okay.
And Irish.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a mix.
But I always love to highlight African women when they come on the show, just because I'm African as well. And I wanted to, I'm Cameroonian.
Oh, my best friend is Cameroonian.
Hey,
yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. And I wanted to highlight the fact that Nigerians are one of the most successful immigrant groups in the United States, right? And you're obviously a woman who has found a lot of success at an early age. And I want to know, do you feel like it has anything to do with your cultural background?
Okay. Okay. Like, can I say this? Yeah, I can say this. Like, Nigerians know how to finesse. Like, straight up. We know how to get things done. We know how to position ourselves in the best place in the room. I've seen it. My dad does it. Like, I see it. And so I feel like in terms of strategy, we win that. And in these types of arenas, New York, LA, London, Paris, like it's a game.
Yeah.
And I feel like Nigerians just know how to play the game.
You guys know how to play the game.
That's it. We know how to play the game. We then knew how to play the game. We were built to know how to play the game.
Yeah.
So,
and the way that you're raised has a really serious impact on how successful you are as an adult. Like, they've done studies on it. And Nigerians have a really strong focus on higher education. Africans in general, like my mom is still begging me to get my master's degree to this day. And I saw on your Instagram, you made a post about your decision to re-enroll in your academia, which you mentioned before. And I want to know what prompted this decision for you.
It was a very, again, back to the word dialectic. You'll notice that most of my life, I am very like a dialectic person. I'm not black or white. I'm very like, but there are a few things. One, I wanted to get a visa to London, straight up. I wanted to go, I wanted to travel, and I wanted to learn and have kind of like an educational kind of like backing there. Two, I was starting this like music journey, and I was kind of like starting this creative direction journey, and like this like, because I've always been, and how do I even say this? Like, I've always been a connector. Everyone in the city, in New York, who knows me as a connector, knows me as, oh, you're the girl that if I need something, like, you got it. Like, I know that's just how it's always been. But I guess getting the validation from that, it put me in a place where I was like, oh, I'm connecting people, like, I'm the bridge, da-da-da-da. And the thing about being the bridge is that you always get walked on, or you have to get a toll. And I don't want to be walked on, and I don't want to charge my community to connect them. So I realized that I needed to kind of step into the role of the creator rather than the connector. And in order to do that, I need to take a step back kind of from, I don't know about the limelight, but kind of from like the public view, and really work on what do I want to create and how can I have self-agency in that creation. Like, if I want to take a photo, or if I want to do a photo shoot and pitch it, I want to be able to take the photo. I want to be able to understand the gaffing. I want to be able to cast everyone. I want to be able to have a say and understanding in every single part of that. And I originally was just kind of going on set and like I have a really close friend, Amber Grace Johnson, amazing director. She was bringing me on set and I was learning things from that, but I was just like, I need to go back to school, and I need to go to school with intention. I feel like we go to school so young that we're not able to understand who we are to know what we want to get out of school. And so me dropping out at 20 and then now being 23 and coming back and being like, okay, this is what I want to learn, this is what I want to get from it, this is what I want to do. It's refreshing. The kids there are like, oh my God, I'm there to learn, girl, because I'd be tired. But that's kind of initially why I want to go back. And also my entire family came from like not really much education to like very high education, and they just were not about to watch me like be like, they just were really not
going for that.
They weren't going for it. And originally I was like, y'all haters, like watch me fly. I was like, whatever.
And you did.
And I am. But it's also like, as I get older, I'm kind of, I guess I'm grateful for my relationship with school, because since I dropped out in 2020, I've gone back online in 2021. I went back online in 2022, then they stopped doing online, so I went back to school officially 2023. And like, it's very much like, oh, I want to learn this, enroll back in school. Oh, I want to learn this, enroll back in school. And I honestly advocate for people having like those relationships with school and elongating their process, because like all this kind of experience and culture and growth that I've learned going to New York, LA, London, Paris, and like Munich, Germany, like those epicenters, I would not be able to know what I needed to know or know what I wanted to know.
Right.
Or know that I didn't know shit, like that I didn't know as much as I thought I did, being in a bubble of New York. And so having that and then being able to come back and be like, okay, I want to learn this, and then having the luxury of being able to do it,
it is a privilege.
But it's a lot. It's hard, because it's like you get stuck in comparisons, you get stuck in like you just get stuck in like, oh, I'm like the FOMO of it. Like, you know, I was outside all the time. I was going to all the latest things.
Now you don't have the time.
Like, I don't have the time. Now I'm going upstate 3 days a week to study. And like, you know, it's just the recalibration of it all has been difficult. Just because I mean, a lot of Gen Z people are like, we're immediacy oriented. We're focused on immediate gratification, the dopamine rush, the, oh my God, me now, me now, me now. That's why the trends, the decades that we used to have are now like year-long trends, if that, you know, everything's immediacy, everything's really quick. And so to come from something so fast-paced and then to intentionally slow down and kind of feel like the, you know, people bumping you and like people are still moving that fast and you're just like,
passing you
but
by.
you have to, patience is like, I was saying this before we had the interview, patience is something that you need to be a global bitch, period. If you want to be global, if you want to be renowned globally,
it's gonna take
you have
time.
to have patience. You have to have patience, and you have to be the one in the room that knows nothing all the time.
For sure.
Every time. So it just comes with what I want, and so I have to accommodate it.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of people who reach your level career-wise would never consider going back to school, because it's like, it almost seems like there's no point, but I just feel like it really shows that you have a dedication to the pursuit of knowledge. Like, it's not just about the accomplishments for you, it's about being like a lifelong student.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Oh my gosh, I was just talking to my teachers about that.
Yes, you can't feel like you're ever done learning.
And it's also, I feel like education has created so many misconceptions with learning and curiosity and has ruined it for people. Like, people don't want to learn because school sucks. Straight up, schooling sucks. High school, middle school, that shit sucks. Like, but me learning on my own, me coming to a new place and entering the space with curiosity it's like the most innovative and rewarding thing that, you know, I've ever done in general. It's so rewarding to learn something, get better at something, see the progress in the process.
Yes.
And so I know so many people who are like, I hate school, and like, me too, girl, but like, you should love curiosity. You should love learning, because how do we grow? How do we innovate, like, without learning? And if you don't grow, what is it? If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. Like,
absolutely.
If you're not, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like, as a plant, as like, you know, a growing thing, like intellectually, we need to consistently build ourselves up, or I have the need and the you know, the push to continuously build myself up.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, and it's like being an intellectual has nothing to do with like
Being
academia.
smart. Yeah, no.
You know, because I feel like in Crown Heights, in my hood, like there'll be times where like I can articulate it better, but do I have the actual experience and knowledge? No. There are so many people in my neighborhood who understand the depth of life way beyond me, but are they able to articulate it in a way that like people are gonna listen to them and not stereotype them and not do all that stuff? No.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'm grateful because I have the luxury of being able to communicate whatever I have to communicate and people stop and listen. But like, being an intellectual is based on your experience.
Yeah.
It's not based on how you speak or what you say or like who you are. It's really based on experience. So like, just wanted to clarify that definition.
No,
for everyone.
that's so deep and so true.
Yeah.
Because I think that people like to get caught up in this idea that like intellectualism has to do with how smart you are, or you know, I think it has more to do with
Or the definition of smart. Like,
what
is smart?
What is smart? What does it mean to be? I mean, there's a difference between being smart and being knowledgeable. You know, some people are street smart. You can be smart in different ways.
It's always a spectrum, I feel like.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know? And it's also always something that connects. Like, you can be street smart, but the symbolism in like your street smarts can be completely applicable to like all these different things in your life or in like cycles of the world. You know, it's all connecting.
Absolutely. Okay, so bringing it back to your career, given your experience at Instagram, do you have any like insider tips on what it takes to build a successful social media presence?
Okay, I literally, one of my friends, her name is Sabrina. She's like a comedian now. I hung out with this girl last year, like we hung out 2 times. I gave this girl a regimen for Instagram and she gained like 200K in like a year. Is like a full-blown comedian traveling around. And so I really think I am the right person to ask this question. I was saying like, I am the right person to ask this question. Shout out Sabrina. She's my camp counselor too. So shout out her. But so I think consistency, understanding your niche, and pattern analysis are my 3 things. So consistency, post all the time, all right? Post, unless, you know, don't be posting, just be like, you know, but like understand, be intentional, obviously, but post like, I've gained probably like 30,000 no, that's a lie. I've gained probably like 20K in the last 6 months from Reels. Yeah, and they're honestly not like, they're not that deep. Like my Reels are, my captions, I'll be like, this is what's going on in my life. And then like, I'll be airing it out to the gram. Yeah. But my Reels are like, they're just me like going like,
they're not,
and they're like she's so cute, like on the like the
they don't have to be extravagant, they don't have to be super meaningful or
literally like live photos, series of live photos, clip them together into a video, because live photos, if you tap it, you can make it into a video. Put 3 of those together, do a trending or either a trending sound or like one sound that has no videos on it. So a sound that has no videos on it or a trending sound. And then understanding your niche, which is like, for me, I was really posting really heavy on like BLM, and I started getting a lot of threats. So I wasn't able to, I got really scared and I was kind of like triggered not to post as much. But I still wanted to do activism. And so like kind of threading in like my writing and my collaborations and the things that I do with like my love for fashion and love for like looking like that bitch, being that bitch. It just, you have to understand the fusion. So I feel like my favorite reel that I did, it only got like 30K views, but like it was a voiceover of me getting ready and talking about my experience culturally in London and the differences between London and New York's nightlife scene and like just culture scene as a woman of color. And it was so cool because it was like, I had an article that I wrote about it, and then I was able to do a reel that connected to the article, and then like a kind of like a voiceover, and then I got to do my little like cute little thirsties too. I was like,
cool. 3 in 1.
I was like, wow, this is really, but understanding that and also connecting your content too is really important. What was the last one? Oh, and trend analysis. So it's like that it sounds like trend analysis. It's not like actual trend analysis. It's just like looking at what goes.
Yeah.
What does well. I realized very early that doing a cute video with voiceovers that are empowering goes really well with my crowd.
Yeah.
It does really well. I posted 3, trial and error. And I was like, okay, this does really well. Like one clip. And so I started doing that and it was getting book, like period. And then I started doing ones where it was like a bunch of different edits where it was like those fast-paced ones and people weren't liking it. I was like, okay, so I'll move back to this. Then I was like, okay, so this is the template for that. How do I infuse what I really want to work on? So my writing, my cultural consulting, soon to be my music, you know what I mean, into that. And then you kind of start tweaking things that can help you, just like educate your crowd really on
It's kind of like data analysis.
It is data analysis.
And knowing when to switch when something isn't working.
And also it is data analysis, but it's not like aggressive data analysis.
Right.
It's just kind of like, that's what you need to do a business regardless. You're gonna need to do trial and error. You doing the show, I'm sure you had things where you're like, okay, I don't like that. Next time we can't do that. It's the same thing. It's literally the same type of strategy that you can apply to like IRL networking.
Right.
Like it's very versatily applicable.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, well, to close out this interview, I just want to ask you, what advice do you have for any women who are looking to break into the media space and break barriers and just find success the way that you have been able to? It's a broad question.
I know. I'm like, because there's a generic answer. There's the generic answer where you're like, DM everyone, hit everyone up on LinkedIn and like, but personally, like...
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you think has really helped you personally? One key thing.
I think being and perceiving myself as literally like limitless. Perceiving myself as limitless has allowed me to break into every single space I've chosen. I don't even have music out, and I was flown to Germany to record. And that's because I'm on this Delulu, I am limitless. Whatever I do, I'm doing it. And I have this like level of seriousness that when you walk in the room, people won't, people can't knock it. They see it in your face. And I know that's kind of like not exactly what is like best to say. I don't know. I think
no, because that's
really
your
being
personal
limitless,
though,
like really understanding, just being delusional. And I hate that, like
and I
saying
love
that because everyone's like Delulu, Tralulu, like
I know.
stop.
No, but what we were talking about before about having a combination of delusion and logic.
Yes.
How because what you said,
logically execute your delusions.
You take it seriously.
Yeah, logically execute your delusions.
Yeah.
Like that's how I've always moved. Where it's like I have the Cancer moon, I have the the emotional backing. I have the delusional mindset of like I can do anything because you're in New York City right now.
You have to
like
be a little
the
bit
richest
delusional.
person and some of like the most broke people in a first world country are in this city. You have every single opportunity that you want. In fact, you're on the internet. Fuck New York.
Right.
You literally are on an internet where you have every single resource. So the only thing that is stopping you is probably your own conditioning. It's probably people being in your life being like, that doesn't make sense, or like, that doesn't work, or where's your safety net? Like, faith is my safety net. Like, being that bitch is my safety net. Like, I don't know. I think that. I think that especially like starting this music journey and coming from someone who's a connector and a producer, and then stepping into the spotlight and being a creator, it takes so much. Like I'm a novice right now coming into this new space, so I'm also like the same as most of the people watching this who are like, oh, I really want to break into the media space. Me coming into music, I'm in the same boat. And I genuinely think having the confidence in yourself, understanding your power, and one other thing I think is not following the golden path, because we're on the social media platforms, we're seeing how people are told to make it. Oh, they made it through this, they made it through that. What are the advertised paths that people are making? Or what are the advertised paths that people are going on? Like, and understanding that, and then from there being like, okay, but what are my paths?
Right.
Like, I've knocked on so many doors. I'm an underdog, like straight up, like haters know, because I be in the rooms and they try not to get me in the rooms. They know, they see me. I see it in their face. They're like, oh, like I've been knocking on doors for so long, and in the last 2 years, I've been like, nah. And actually, instead of fixating on this one door that everyone's saying is the golden door that we need to use, I look around and I'm like, where's the windows?
Where's the alternate path?
Where's the alternate paths? Because I'm not gonna beg someone to know my worth. So the alternate paths that see my worth, that's where I'm gonna go. And lo and behold, I'm in the same fucking room.
Absolutely.
I'm in the same room, and I'm in the room genuinely. I'm not in the room where like, oh, I had to kiss someone's ass or do something. I don't move like that. Like, I don't do that. I'm in the room genuinely connecting with people who actually fuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, there's a huge difference. And I think holding that, understanding your path, understanding where your doors are, and keeping it genuine is like the best. It's a bulletproof way to success.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little longer, but it's a bulletproof way to success, I think.
And it leads to more long-term, just more real success that you can really be proud of because you got there genuinely, like you said.
Longevity and patience, you need that to be a global bitch. You need that, you need that. So
I love that.
That's,
Oh my gosh.
We ate that up.
We really did. That was great. Thank you so much, Livia.
Of course.
We're so happy to have you on How She Did It. You are just amazing, and I wish you the best.
I'm gonna do it again. Just watch next interview. Hold it
You heard her. Period.